Do Read, who's doing great things in the community for not only boys but for children his age, older as well as younger. But he's also my son. Welcome, my special guest inside of the studio, Boys Do Read founder Derrick Smith Jr. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, Mom, for inviting me here. It feels great to be on a talk show with you. And I get to express my feelings and how I feel. So I'm ready to dive in when you are.
Okay, I like that. So today, like I said again, the name of this show, Derrick is speaking on the Unspoken. So what I like to do is talk about some topics that are often slid between the cracks, often not wanting to be heard but need to be addressed, and often swept under the rug. So I know something that you and I have dealt with since kindergarten, and that's the topic of bullying. And not only have we dealt with it, we have constantly together fought it. I know you're working on your first book on bullying. I can't wait till it come out. I'm proud of you. I know that book is going to change lives. But one of the things in the book that I know that you do is you describe bullying. And I want to start to show out with what is bullying. And when I Google bullying and I look up bullying, or if anybody that has a smartphone just instantly type bullying, it says to participate, to seek to harm, to intimidate, to coerce someone, to perceive as vulnerable. So what it means is like, what does that mean? And how does bullying then apply to you when you think of that, or when I say that definition?
Well, to me, bullying is a really serious thing. Because I know multiple kids that go to multiple different schools, they get bullied. And for me, bullying is just a key thing. Because different kids feel like it's just okay to mess around with each other. But in real life, it's not okay. You never know what different kids are going through. And that leads to another point that we're going to talk about is suicide.
Mm.
And suicide is like a common thing here in Ohio because lots of kids get bullied. And then sometimes when they get bullied too much, it's too much for them. And it's like a thing where you can't really do anything about it. You're getting
So
bullied by
now,
different kids.
what should a child do if they do get bullied?
If they do get bullied,
What are the
should,
steps?
the steps is they should tell an adult. And if they don't have an adult, tell like a teacher, a tutor, somebody that can help them.
Okay. Have you ever been bullied?
Yes, next point, I've been bullied a lot. I've been bullied since kindergarten because in kindergarten, I was the only kid who could read in my class. And I was the smartest kid. So I would get picked on just because I knew how to read.
How did that make you feel as a kindergartner when you were so excited about going to school with the other children in kindergarten and graduating from preschool?
So after I graduated from preschool, it felt great for me. I knew that I would get a new chance to start a new school, go with different kids. First day of school, I was so excited, ready to learn. I get there, I see a lot of different people. Teacher gets to know me, and I tell her that I like to read. So then it's around a month so in school. I'm reading out loud in class. A couple of girls would pick on me because I was the only kid who could read. So I would be reading, then after class they would come up to me like, you're too smart for us. Like you're not the right person.
Uh-huh. And after those children said those things to you, what that day, walk me back to that day. So that day, those children, how was that ride home? And how was that experience that day, if you can remember?
So that ride home was sad. I wouldn't talk at all.
Mm-hmm.
Cause I know my dad would pick me up. He would ask how was school. I wouldn't talk. I was feeling a little upset because I would get picked on for the thing I loved the most, which is my school. And being at school is a major thing for me because I get to learn new things and I get to read and express my knowledge.
Okay. So I appreciate you, one, for being vulnerable enough for 11 years old to come on KAZ Radio and TV with mommy today. But no, really, to share your story. Share your story about kindergarten, to be vulnerable enough as a young man to help me share stories that often, like I said, people don't want to speak about. I think it's very important for parents to talk to their children about bullying. I think it's very important for parents to create a safe place where children can feel as though they can share their feelings. And what I mean is we have to create an environment that's conducive to, one that you and I have. Mom, can I tell you something? Well, you know what? I can see if your energy off. I'm going to ask you 5 times until you say, okay, I'll tell you. But being able to create that communication where you can share with me what's going on at school, which will allow me to advocate for you as a parent to go into those rooms where you may be feeling like you don't want to address the students or you don't want to address the teachers or however you're feeling, but allowing me to help you in those areas. So now, when we talk about bullying, and I heard you say 2 keywords, children feel overwhelmed. What does that mean?
To feel overwhelmed, it means like you need to take a break from certain things, but that means you have a lot of things going on at once. You have to calm down from that and maybe like spend time with yourself.
Okay, so that's one of the things. And then it leads into our next topic. In Cuyahoga County, 93% of CMSD students have faced some sort of trauma. And I'm going to say that again. In Cuyahoga County, 93% of CMSD students have faced some sort of trauma. So then when we begin to look into the trauma, if we haven't faced the trauma, if we haven't dealt with the trauma, if we haven't got any counseling for the trauma, if it's not immediately being addressed, it's being suppressed. So what happens when you push something down and push something down and push something down and push something down? It's going to eventually do what?
If you keep pushing stuff down and down, it's going to help you feel welcome again.
Okay, and then after you keep pushing it down, what happens if you suppress it? What if you hold all them feelings in and hold all them feelings in and hold all them feelings in and never get to let them out? What happens?
Then you'll become overwhelmed again because you just keep pushing the feelings inside and inside, and you don't share them or just you don't let them out.
All right, and that's what happens when we start talking about childhood suicide. Cuyahoga County childhood suicide rates are up, and I know that are some of the things that you share in your book. Can you share some of that with us on the station today?
Yeah, I could definitely share with you.
Okay.
So, the common thing about youth suicide is, right here it says from 2012 to 2014, an average of 187 Ohio youth deaths died from suicide each year. So suicide is like a common thing each year. I don't know why people commit suicide, but one thing I want to do is try to help stop suicide.
Okay.
Yeah, the average per year included about 19 youth, and that's 10 to 14 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a young age to die at. Just getting bullied, if you think about it, suicide is something that you really don't want to do.
Right.
And suicide is something that has been going on it's been common now. So when you actually think about it, suicide is something that keeps going on
and when you say you want to help prevent it, what are some of the things that you're trying to put in place to help prevent it?
Some things that I want to put in place that are like trying to talk it out, have a community event, talk about how we can stop suicide prevention. If you are getting bullied and you feel like you do want to commit suicide, we just want to
help them get the right resources.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate that. I appreciate you not only talking about your bullying today, but I appreciate you thinking outside of the scope of things. You're only 11 years old. So now, not only are you telling me, as the founder of Boys Do Read, you want to tackle bullying, but you saying on top of tackling, you want to help with childhood suicide prevention, right?
Mm-hmm.
And was that all the statistics? I didn't mean to cut you off, but I was really excited when you said that.
No, it's not all.
Okay.
And 168 youth, and that's 15 years old through 24 years old. And if you really think about it, a lot of deaths have been happening through the years.
Mm-hmm.
People committing suicide,
Mm-hmm.
different ages, different times.
Mm-hmm.
But once you actually think about it, why do people commit suicide?
Mm-hmm.
How can you talk to people, get them in the right place in their mind?
And that leads back to the mental health. So I really appreciate you coming on the show. And when you say, how do we? That's when we start talking. One of the things that I want to work with is through some of the faith-led initiatives, but it's helping parents work through their mental illness and the trauma. Because when we deal with the mental illness and the trauma, those are some of the things that's going to help cut those right back. Go ahead.
All right. And the last thing, the number of suicides has not changed markedly during this period.
Okay.
The total number of youth suicides was 193 in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
172 in 2013.
Mm-hmm.
And the highest one out of all, 195 in 2014.
195 in 2014. Okay. So here's the thing. We can actually together work through both initiatives. We can help combat the mental illness, because that's one of the things that mommy has really, really been working on, because some of the thing with mental illness and trauma is school is becoming a safe place. So children are coming to school to feel safe, to get away from the things that are going on at home. However, they're never getting the opportunity to address the trauma. So we know various situations with children not living in safe situations for school, but they're in survival mode. So a lot of times, like you said, they feeling overwhelmed because they just want to be a child. They just want to go to school. And you and I have done various things to help children, families, friends, and therefore, but not only to be able to help family and friends, but to be able to allow them to come to our house and have that safe space. So I think that's one of the very, very, very important things, is allowing children. Where can you go to have that conversation? If you want to talk about being bullied at school, if you want to talk about harming yourself, if you want to talk about the adults in your life and you just need some help, how do you do that? And those are some of the things that we can do, like you said, by creating community events, by going out and talking to parents, helping parents understand how to create those open lines of communication. It's not always easy. Is it always easy to tell the truth?
No, it's not always easy, especially when you're getting bullied.
Right. But how does it feel once you tell the truth and the parents can advocate for you?
Once you tell the truth, it feels better, but at the same time, it doesn't feel always better, because if you tell and the bully gets the news about what happened, it might put you in some more danger, but at least you have that part off of your shoulder.
Okay, so let's experience it. You started a new school during the pandemic. And during the pandemic, you went to the new school. As soon as you got to the new school, some boys bullied you. And how did I advocate for you?
So, like you said, I got bullied as soon as I went to a new school. I had got a new haircut. I was feeling fresh. And then they would, pick on my haircut. Because, right now, I have, a bald fade. And I like this. Now I get to actually grow my hair out. Mm-hmm. Back then, I used to just have, a bald cut. Mm-hmm. Not completely bald, but, to the low point. Mm-hmm. So then they would pick on me for that. Then they would call me Mr. Clean, because I had a shiny head. But I didn't let that bother me, because earlier this month, me and my mom, we were in my room together. We were talking about how I got bullied about my haircut. We Googled how much Mr. Clean is worth. It's at $24 million. That made me feel good. And then as soon as the morning time came, she said, if anybody at that school calls you Mr. Clean, say thank you because you're calling me a $24 million man.
And that's what it's really about. You know, we can point into the evilness of it and we can say this or that or this or that, but thank you for the Mr. Clean compliment. You know, and then, you know, if they keep calling you Mr. Clean, keep putting it in the atmosphere, they speaking those things that's not as though they were. But for you to have your confidence and know who you are and go stand before them. And what are one of the reasons that children bully, period?
One of the main reasons why children bully, because sometimes they used to get bullied as well.
Okay.
They became the bully. Sometimes they're facing something at home where they just need to let out their anger at other people. And one thing that me and you have certainly talked about, they come from different places in the community. Like me and you, we've talked about how we've moved a lot of different times just so you could find me the perfect school. You found me the perfect school district in third grade. I went to Parkside Elementary in Solon. I passed my third grade reading test there, and that place helped me grow a lot. You know, I'll sit down with the teacher. That helped me boost up my score. So I would be so smart. Sometimes I just get like to pick on just because I actually sat with the teacher, got to talk with her with my grades and how it would affect me.
Well, see, one thing about it is, and I try to find verbiage and words that make you understand. But God has given you a glimpse of your purpose in life. So when you go out and we giving out books and you go out and you speaking about bullying, he showed you what you were created for. It's me and 50 and 60 years old still trying to figure out what is my purpose? What am I here for? So as long as you tap into what that is, that's when you see the great things that come your way. That's when you see and understand. It's called being set apart and chosen. And being when you set apart and chosen, you see them over there and it look like they having so much fun. But when you go over there, it's not the same for you. It's not necessarily that they not having so much fun and it's not the same for you. It's that your plight in life is just a little bit different. It's just a little bit more serious. They playfulness is not your seriousness because you got some different things that you working on. You got a big agenda. I just heard the agenda that you just told me. Do you know any other CEOs that are 11 years old? Any founders of their own organization?
No.
That's 11?
No.
You know any 11-year-olds that's been on CNN, Good Morning America, Kelly Clarkson?
I do not.
Okay, so sometimes when you set apart and chosen, you just have to remember who you are and stand on what God created you to be. It's not about what they say. They talked about Jesus. So if they talk about me and you, it's like, oh, okay, I'm one of them. But it's still knowing who you are. And that's the thing about bullying. That's the number one thing, standing on your two toes and knowing what shoes you wear, standing on your toes, knowing what you created for. I'm uniquely and wonderfully created. I'm the head and not the tail. I'm above and not beneath. Knowing who you are. Talk to them like that, they might think you crazy. I'd be like, no, what he say? Because then we quoting God's scripture. But then when we go home in our quiet time and we pray, what do we talk to God about?
Sometimes we talk to God about how kids can bully us. We talk about where different kids are from. And we talk about how they maybe had a rough childhood growing up.
That's right.
And I know one thing that me and you mainly talked about, there are different kids from different areas. Like there are nice kids, smart kids from the suburbs, and there are some kids that you might not know come from the projects.
And that's the same thing. But what do God want us to do with them no matter what?
And like God says, I know he hates Satan, but God says to not hate your enemies. And that's one main thing that you need to do. Even if somebody's like bullying you to the point where you just want to express all your anger and do everything you can just to get away
but
from it.
But your love outshines.
Mm-hmm.
The love outshines. That's all he asks us to do is love. And I even thank you for expressing that. What you gonna do with your anger? And those are some of the things that we're going to try to help parents help their children. Because when parents help their children and create that space where we're talking about, where you feel like you have that open line of communication, then it's going to be a little bit less bullying. And you know why it's going to be less bullying? It's going to be less bullying because they can come home and they can share their feelings and emotions. So then they're going to be less likely to go to school and pinch somebody or pop somebody or tease somebody. That's all bullying is. That's all it is, trying to take a control of someone else. And they generally do it through a teasing. They generally do it through coercing. They generally doing it by trying to catch somebody in a vulnerable state. And that's how they started. And it comes right in. It comes right in. And so once we help parents and children understand that we have to help them create a safe space where they can share and have open communication, that's when bullying gonna change. That's when we're gonna see some different things. You know, another thing in black families don't believe, well, we're not going to say all black families. A lot of black families don't believe in therapy.
Yeah.
When I left your father, I knew that was one of the biggest decisions of my life. And I knew at that moment, I asked you, would you like a therapist? And what did you say?
I said, I didn't know what a therapist was. You explained to me.
Right.
You said it was someone who can help you with your feelings.
Mm-hmm.
I would go to therapy maybe once or twice a month,
Mm-hmm.
and my therapist was amazing. He would help me express my feelings. He knew exactly how I felt. He would explain to me how, like, it's not your fault. Because when you left my father, I thought it was, like, completely my fault. I thought it had, like, everything to do with me.
So now let's talk about this. So was therapy important then to you, making a life-altering decision to be able to have that therapist to share your feelings and emotions? Was that important for you?
I definitely think sharing my emotions with my therapist was great. Because he would let me, sometimes we would do activities, we would read books together, and sometimes we would even play a game together.
And see, this is the thing about breaking cycles, because cycles are circles and they continue and they continue. And when you break it, it can't go back together. And one of the things I wanted to do is make sure that I can help you, if nothing else, be able to create a space where you can share your feelings and your emotions, whether they're good, whether they're bad, whether they're happy, whether they're sad, but create that space. Not only be able to create that space, but now we have a space where your friends come. And guess what they want to share now? Their feelings and emotions. And sometimes they don't want to leave. But it's about creating that peace. And that's the thing when we go right back to the statistics. If 93% of CMSD students are facing some sort of trauma, 93% is almost the whole pie, right? So if 93% is going through something and feeling overwhelmed, how can they come to school and product normally as a student and try to get the curriculum and the grades they need and be successful if they're worried about whatever that trauma is that's going on in their life?
Well, to me, I think if they don't express their feelings quickly, it's going to keep getting, worse and worse. And one main thing is that you can't keep so much inside you. Like, you got to add more knowledge, and you already have something that you're struggling with to explain to somebody. Like you told me, I don't have to tell you everything, but the main things that are important, I need to. Like how I was getting bullied. I didn't want to tell you that, but I did. And you went up to my school and you made things right for me. And that's one thing I appreciate.
Well, see, here's the thing. It's not just enough to have a school, because if it's just enough to have a school, you can go to the school on the corner. But if I've searched and I've done my research and I've put you in a school that I believe is a great fit, that's going to keep you on the path to becoming a lifelong learner, I've read the school's mission and vision. I know where me and you are in your education path and where we're trying to go. So once I've done my homework as a mommy and now you're there, I want you in an environment that's conducive to learning. So I'm going to do my part. I'm advocating in the community. So if I'm advocating in the community, how am I not going to advocate for you? And my main thing is to want you to be able to be in an environment that's conducive to learning. So now when you say I'm being bullied, I need to talk to administration. I need to talk to the principal. I need to talk to whoever those people are so that we can work together to make sure that you're in an environment that's conducive to learning. That's the whole big thing. Like I fought this fight, you know. One thing I can commend, and I'm a name call this time, but Boys Hope, Girls Hope in Garfield. I love everything about that organization. I love what they bring to the table for youth of various backgrounds. I love that you got the opportunity to be with that organization. And I would tell any parent to just Google Boys Hope, Girls Hope. I remember the day when you came home, and it just felt good. I'm almost getting teared up just thinking about it. But it just felt good, as I said, you know, trying to find organizations and schools that put you on a path to becoming a lifelong learner. But I remember you saying, Mommy, outside of Parkside, Boys Hope, Girls Hope is the only place I haven't been that I wasn't bullied. And I just said, wow. And I know that I didn't put you in some schools and snatched you out some schools. I know that this journey for you and I has truly been a journey to find a great education for you. And it's one of the reasons why I go out and I advocate for children, for parents, because I believe, and I'll go on anybody talk show, I'll sit on anybody panel, and we can discuss it to the T. Private school, public school, charter school, Catholic school. I believe that all children, no matter what your zip code is, should get a quality education. I believe all families, no matter what your zip code is, should have access to quality school, quality grocery store, quality health care, and quality housing. I believe that. I believe that with everything in me. And I'll advocate. I'll die being a book lady. But helping parents, communities understand that no matter what your zip code, that you should get a quality education. And I believe that. And unfortunately, we have the divide, but those are the things that mommy takes so serious. Not just about the plight of education for you, but taking that education back out in the community, through literacy in the hood, through going out and speaking, helping parents, children, caregivers understand the importance of why children need to read 20 minutes a day. They call it the word gap. The word gap say if a child going to the suburbs, a child going to a suburban school goes to school knowing 1,800,000 more words than children in the inner city and urban communities. And I'm going to break this down and I'm going to close for this. First, I want to thank you. I appreciate you for coming on the show with me today. Is there anything you want to say before we wrap up, just to share with parents, children, caregivers, or our TV viewers?
I have one thing. One thing I would really like to say is if you have anybody bullying you or messing around with you, tell somebody that you know is like family to you and that can help you. And one more thing, if you ever feel like stressed, I would consider therapy. I went to therapy for around 6 months, and I still do therapy sometimes now.
Yes, read that studio number up there and say that again if you feel like somebody being bullied or somebody, because they can leave a message anytime. Read that studio number up there and say that sentence again.
216-465-3358. If you ever have anyone messing with you, or if you feel like you just need somebody to talk to about bullying.
All right. I really want to thank you. I want to thank you for coming on the show. But this is what I want to share going out. If you read to a child for 20 minutes a day, At the end of the school year, they will have heard 1,800,000 new words. If you read to a child 5 minutes a day, at the end of the school year, they would have heard 180,000 new words. And if you read to a child 1 million a day, at the end of the school year, they heard 1,800 new words. So hey, get off the phones, get off the tablets, read to your child 20 minutes a day. You're going to see a difference in school. You're going to see a difference in test scores. And you're going to see a difference overall in their vocabulary. I'm Chrishawndra Matthews. Thanks for listening today. Speaking on the Unspoken. You can find me, Literacy in the Hood, all platforms. You can find him, Boys Do Read, all platforms. Thanks for watching today.